to make the case. Yes, get involved in politics. Yes, get involved in your local elections. But get involved by sharing this message with as many people as you can. Because we have real issues. Why do I do what I do? Because I want to do two things. One, I want to inspire you. I hope I've done that tonight. I hope I've given you a love of the real American. But secondly, to raise awareness for a charity. You all are very familiar if you're 912 with MBEC. I'm a Christian. Right now, there are Christians living in the Middle East who have been slaughtered, who have been killed, who have been told convert, pay a tax or die. There are Muslims in China who have been told the same thing. There are minorities all around the world. I grew up learning history. Honestly, there's times I just want to scream at people because I just want to give up. I grew up history. Never again is now, John. Never again is now. It will never happen again. Well, guess what's happening? And everyone's silent. Legally and morally, I don't charge for anything I do. I do a show on the Blaze every Saturday for free. It's an hour if you ever want to check it out, Freedom's Disciple. The other thing I do is speeches, and I raise awareness for M1. If you happen to give, I don't ask for any money for donations. I'm not legally able to accept them either, but if you happen to like what I say and you haven't given to M1 or before, or you haven't given in a while, please consider the Nazarene Fund. They are making differences in lives. I actually met with one of the heads at M1 today, and she was showing me the merchandise room. And what they have is they rescued all these Yazidis from the Middle East. And because they're so thankful, they now live in Slovakia and they have a bit of freedom. They're now making these little beads, it's bracelets with a cross on them, and they sell them. And it's just to give them something to do because they're free and to share that message of hope. And Mercury One also sells them. That is the difference. It's not about politics. It's about principles. It's about coming together. Because here's the last thing I'll give to you. And this is the last principle. I apologize if I've run over. There are two revolutions that you can study if you want to study history. They're the exact opposite, but everyone thought they're the same, and you can learn from them. The American Revolution, which we've spoken about at length, and the French Revolution. Many people are following the French revolutionary principles today, and they will fail. Why? Thomas Paine was fooled by the French Revolution. Many Americans were. People like George Washington knew it wouldn't work. Why? Because everyone thinks, well, the French are just like us. Hey, the three tenets of the French Revolution on every building, even today. Freedom. Freedom, that sounds good. Liberty. I'm for liberty. That sounds good. Yeah, we're there like us. They fall apart on the third one. Where they had fraternity, which is brotherhood, and sides, all they wanted to do, if you read the history of the French Revolution, was one side got power, enforced its will on the other. They got annoyed. They said, hey, we want power. And then they got it, and through a war, and then they enforced their will. And it all ended in the guillotine. When they spoke about fraternity and sides and brotherhood, America was fighting three simple words. E pluribus unum. That's right. Out of many, one. People say to me, oh, just as the last objection I want to overcome with this, and I'll give you one story to think about. People say, well, John, it's different in 2019. We can't find any common ground with the other side. They're too divisive. I'm not saying they're not divisive, but I want to paint you a picture. If you go by the old stats, and these stats are very loose because of the time, they didn't have statistics back then, but John Adams once said 33% of the Americans at the founding were pro-British, 33% were pro-leave, and 33% didn't really care either way. Out of the 33%, by the way, who actually did something, not just say, hey, I want to leave, I don't like Britain, like 10% actually did something. Maybe 1% fought. Think of the person. You're a person, you signed up to be under George Washington in the Revolutionary War, and you go off and you fight, but you actually survived. And you fought that harsh winter. At times you didn't have a gun. At times you didn't even have shoes to put on your feet. You probably got frostbitten. You crossed, you engaged the British, you lost, you retreated, you engaged them again, you lost. You went through that. You got friendly with someone, they died. You got friendly with someone else, they died. You survived and you won and you went home. You really think you have a touch on their feelings when they had to go back to their own city, their own town, their own rural area, and look at the people who went, I fought, my brothers and sisters died, and you didn't even care? Or you wanted to stay in you wanted the British to stay there? Think of the feelings they had. Think of the emotions they had. They might have wanted to smack people. They didn't, because it was built on e pluribus unum. You united. You can again. You need to find your unum. Because if you do, my God, your trajectory will be amazing. And I, for one, will be your biggest cheerleader. Thank you, and I'm here to answer any questions. Anything you want.
I got my question is, can you help us understand better the Catholic Protestant fight that's going on in Ireland that we hear about, but we don't know if we're hearing truth or fake news?
Okay, sure.
And then maybe relate that with the positive of America that you see.
So I grew up a Catholic. I'm no longer a Catholic. I'm a Christian, but sadly, because of the situation in Ireland, I don't have a church to call home because what's preached I can't agree with. There's a thing which I call the Christian purity test, which is in Ireland, and I can't get my head around it, because what you have in Ireland is religion has been influenced by politics, not the other way around. What you have is, hey, guess what? I'm Catholic, you're Protestant. Guess what? We both believe in God. Hey, guess what? We both claim Jesus as our personal Savior. And hey, guess what? We both believe it, directly or indirectly, scriptures are a gift from God. But you know what? I'm a Catholic, you're a Protestant, you're not a real Christian. You're a Protestant, I'm a Catholic, I'm not a real Christian to you. Because it's influenced not by our beliefs. What it's influenced on is, hey, I'm a Catholic, so I'm pro 32 counties. You're a Protestant, you're pro 6 counties staying part of England. It's politics influenced from religion, not the other way around. And the only thing Catholics and Protestants can agree on in Ireland, which is ironic considering who I work for, is the Mormons are the real problem. You know, you know what? You're a Protestant. You may not be a real Catholic, but at least you're more Catholic. Or you're a real Christian, but you're not. You're more of a Christian than those Mormons. And then they'd probably say the same if they had Baptists and Southern Baptists and all different things. What you need to do, I believe, and what I try and work to do, is from a Christianity point of view, is we have many different things, but we can unite on a set of principles. You know, I have major issues with the Catholic Church. My mother's a Catholic. I have major issues with this Pope. Here's the thing. In an American point of view, I thank every Catholic I ever meet for what they do in the pro-life movement. Because here's the truth. The pro-life movement is in a bad way in America right now. That's the truth. Planned Parenthood is still funded. Babies are being aborted each and every day. But guess what? As bad as it is right now, if you didn't have the Catholics out there, you know, preaching and saying rosaries and praying, my God, where would it be? So we need to unite under certain principles. There's this idea, I was having a conversation, I had a meeting outside earlier on with someone in another business venture. And what's happened is these two people are starting to work together and they're bringing in other people around them. And they have a problem because they come from two different generational things. And he told me, the problem we have in our company right now is people don't want to be civil to each other if they see things differently. We have this thing of, hey, you see things different to me, I have to hate you. You know, how many times do you think that you see things, if you know, Trump, never Trump. You know, GOP, Democrats. Hey, GOP, Tea Party. If you see things different, you're the enemy. We have to stop you. It's the same thing in religion. What you're going to see if you're interested in Northern Ireland is, the problem is that you have right now is there's a lot of problems coming in Northern Ireland. I've been very worried about them for a couple of years. And everything right now, all the politicians have a scapegoat in Brexit. So what you're going to start seeing is, and this has been a plan for a long time, what the plan was is the Catholics in Ireland, the way they have the birth rate, if you actually look at the pure numbers of it, Catholics have more babies than Protestants. The plan has not been a secret by Sinn Féin and by the Republican IRA and all those, is we're going to have more babies than you, and the minute, because it's democracy, the minute we hit 50% plus one, we're calling a referendum for United Ireland. And we're going to get it because we'll have the population, because we have more babies than you. That's always been the plan. What they've done is they've tailored and changed it recently because of Brexit. Everything is getting blamed on Brexit. Brexit is a disaster. I think it should have happened. But the way the politicians are just screwing it up, because, hey, who could have seen a politician screw up a thing, right? That never happens in the history of the world. What you're going to start seeing is they're going to say, well, you know what? Hey, guess what? Because Northern Ireland voted to stay in the European Union, and Ireland's part of it. Hey, guess what? We think we don't need to wait to 50% of Catholics. We think we can get some of the unionists to go on the sole basis of, hey, we want to be part of Ireland because we want to be part of Europe. You're going to start seeing those problems, and there's going to be, in that historical cauldron, when people start infringing on other people's rights and telling them what to do, people are going to react violently. I'm not defending it, but that's what historically happens, and I predict will happen again. Because here's the thing, if someone takes your rights away, you have a problem. But the foundational problem is, in that country, is it's based on the law of man. It's based on opinion. It's based on how you feel right now. Those feelings can change. There is no consistency. What Northern Ireland needs, and every country around the world, including America, needs, is a set of values and principles that you can make work, that are consistent, whether you're Catholic, whether you're Protestant, whether you're atheist, whether you believe, hey, this bottle of Powerade is my creator, it gave birth to me, and all my rights come from him. If you're crazy and you think that, I'm not saying you're crazy, but go for it. I have no problem with you. But once we can agree on the principles, I don't care where you get them. If you agree on free speech for everyone, regardless of how bad it is, there was a situation, the problem is, in Ireland, and this is why I get worried about America, is you cannot talk about issues principally without being violated. There was a story, I don't know whether you heard, there was a famous footballer who made a transfer over to one of the clubs in England, to Cardiff City. And on the plane over, it was a charter jet, it went down in the English Channel, and he died. Right? It was a tragic story, it was so sad, he was a young guy, lots of life, seemed to be very well liked. Well, because some people are innately, and I will say this word, apology if it offends anyone, some people are just scum. When they went to the next match, this team were playing Cardiff City, they were all mourning this guy, and they did a minute's silence and the usual stuff. Some of the away fans thought it'd be cool in the stadium to mock by doing planes and doing this and singing chants. I think that is vile. I think if that's in your head, especially at any time, but for a soccer match, I think you're a piece of vile scum. However, I disagree with what's happened to them. They've been arrested because you can't have free speech. And if you defend them, you're defending that speech? I'm not defending that speech, I think it's wrong, but I'm defending the principle of, I can't tell you what you can and can't say. It goes back to foundational principles. So that's what you're seeing. And we need as Christians to come together and stand and actually be what we're supposed to be. And that's a long answer of what you're seeing in the north. I apologize. I'll make the other answer shorter. Anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
Would you consider doing some sort of maybe a video that could be shown in schools that's, not super religious? I mean, that's what I want, but something that they would actually show the kids on American exceptionalism and your perspective and all of those things, and especially, unifying and being able to have dialogues with other people, because we see a lot of division, especially in elementary schools right now. We handed out kids' constitutions. Most of them had no idea what that was. And the other ones said, the Constitution, that's racist. So you're sort of very inspiring, and I think it would keep a kid's attention very well. But these kids need to learn this. They need to get that fire in them. And they're not going to do it by themselves.
I think, I agree on the kids, because the kids are the next generation. I honestly think, especially over the last 10, 12 years, there's a lot of people of all ages who need that fire. Because, when I don't talk about politics, I was talking to Glenn earlier on, and he named, I'm so different, I used to be very political, I used to know all the candidates, and I'd be the guy who'd come to going, hey, there's this little host race in Oklahoma, who's the most conservative candidate of that guy, or that girl? And now I haven't got a clue. He was talking about three new faces of the Democratic Party, AOC, the Muslim girl who's an anti-Semite, and then someone else, and I was like, who's the third person? Hadn't got a clue, and I have to go research them, because that'll be fun. But I don't know politics, but I know principles. And if you can actually get to a point where we need to start sharing those everywhere, because why I do, and this talk I'm giving it all around for this country, this visit, is I found not many people can tell you why America is exceptional. It's just, we're American. No, you're not. It's because of a set of ideals. America didn't become America just because, hey, you're an American. America is a great country. I always say this. I say there are two Americas. I fell in love with your people, and I fell in love with your people. They're great. You can have a lovely life living off of that. I want to make America exceptional again. I want to make America unique again. I want to make America constitutional again. That's what I want to do, because those are the principles that will succeed the long term. Because here's the thing, if I, by some chance, which would be a nightmare for you all, if I'm living in 2500, I'll still believe those beliefs. Why? Because they're true. Because they're tried and tested. They change the world. And look at the results. You look at the Civil War, we just spoke about the Civil War. The amount of people who, if you lost a limb in the Civil War, chances are you're going to die of something. It might not be that actual industry, it might be disease or something. Today, I think it's horrible, but you look at vets, they come home, they were treated horrifically, which is another thing that always annoys me. But, if you lose a limb today, it's not a death sentence. Look at things, people still have cancer. I was reading about an Israeli company, which I just find so ironic, because I'm a Christian who loves Jews, but there's an Israeli company who think they'll have a cure for cancer in 10 years. I'm like, that's going to send the atheists, the anti-Semites, the white supremacists, the Muslims off crazy. Yeah. Do you really want to be solved? Do you want your cancer cured even though you know it was an Israeli cured you? So that's just going to be hilariously funny. I hope they do it over anyone else. But you have those principles. Look at what's changed. You know, I'm in a car. I have new technology. I'm hiring an SUV. Just shows you how great the innovation, freedom is. There is a thing that happens that it took me a while to get used to, where the car's coming on either side of me, I have a little light on either side of my windows. That might be all standard practice for you today. I don't drive a new car, but I just drive in the SUV. I'm like, this light's going off all the time. What is this? And then all of a sudden, every time there's a car beside me, so in case you go either way, it tells you. And I'm like, that's technology. That's innovation. That's someone going, you know what? A light there would make real great. It would bring people attention so they don't fear in. Great idea. Someone had to think of that. You think some bureaucrat's going, well, you know what? Those cars need lights. No. Innovation will. Profit will. And then if you all like it, you get it. Every car will take it. If you don't like it and everybody goes, that is the most worst thing I did, that's a distraction, it'll stop. Because you get to decide. But yes, I'll talk to you about doing a video. That was the long answer. Sorry.
Awesome. You want to ask one more question?
I sure do.
And
Can you give us any insight about the cabal and its influence on not only Ireland but the United States?
The cabal?
The cabal, the behind the deep state,
Sure.
the behind the scenes kingmakers.
Can you answer the question that has a yes or no answer?
we don't ask those kind of questions.
No, it's not for me. It's actually for you guys because I'm just going to not stop talking. So, when you have an understanding of the principles I just spoke about and why I say they're not dull, in some ways you have to understand that they're actually very successful of the AOCs of the world. They're very understanding because they're very devious. The word progressive, if you look at, let's take the pro-life one because I'm not trying to talk about pro-life all the time, but it's just a perfect issue. You look at how the pro-life issue or the pro-abortion issue has advanced in 10 years. In 2008 it was, no, I'd have all these debates about life is precious no matter what. Oh, but what about rape and incest? Never hear about rape and incest anymore. It's, 9 months, boom, just get rid of it. It progressed. So they're very smart. They listen, either they're very smart or they listen to the right people. They make the arguments very progressive, very slowly. Things like government, they've brought this mirage of, hey, you need me. Because guess what? If you listen to the values and principles I do, if you read the Constitution, I did this on my show last week, I went, you know what, here's the thing. If I ran for president, no one would vote for me. Why? Because I'd be standing here going, there's very little I can do. Article 2 gives me no powers. In the Constitution, all powers should be vested in Congress.
That's right.
All my job is to be a figurehead. I can't talk about taxes. I can talk about them, but I don't make bills. I don't do anything. I meet people. And the only thing I do, which no one ever does because we just pass it on to the Supreme Court, is I will take my oath of office seriously. If a bill is unconstitutional, in my opinion, I will veto it, regardless of whether I like it or not. To the deep state is all about power. What you have in Ireland, you have it in America, is, and this is why the founders again were so smart, setting up federalism, where you have, hey, government, you have 18 clauses in Article 1, Article 2 is a figurehead, everything else is left up to the states. It was very hard to do, I don't know whether they call lobbyists would happen that we know today, but if you have everything broken up in the states, it's hard for companies to do. If you take like a union, you gotta have a base in Tulsa, gotta have a base in Dallas, gotta have a base in Austin, gotta have a base in LA, gotta have a base in New York, gotta have a base in Georgia. That's very logistically very hard. If you have everything in DC, where DC do it, guess what? K Street, done. K Street, Wall Street. Hey, lobbyists, Congress, they all meet with each other. So there's this influence to get, hey, I want more power. Because if you actually look at the money circle is this. You ever follow the money? It's a big circle. Here's DC. And DC, this is the lobbyists. Here. And the lobby goes, hey, guess what? We need X amount of legislation because we need more business and urban profits. And if we do that, we'll give you X amount donation to the campaign. And then the politician goes, sure, no problem. And effectively then gives money back to the company because they enforce their legislation, get their laws passed, and they make more money. How do you take that out? Follow the Constitution. Get back to federalism. Make it harder for them. Make it back to values and principles, where we actually stop talking about small stuff. I saw something yesterday. I get very bored at times. I have a bit of ADD, so I go from attention. This might show with the way I talk, but but I have to be doing something. I can't just be like, I get bored. So I was in the airport yesterday morning, flying to fly over here, and just sitting there, and I just said, you know what'll be fun? It's 6 o'clock in the morning, or it's 10 o'clock my time, so it's 5 o'clock in the morning. I'll just check on Twitter and check my messages, because I get behind sometimes, and just check the timeline. There's this tweet from some idiot, and I don't use that word lightly. You know how you know Donald Trump's a bad president? I went, oh, this should be fun. He doesn't have a presidential dog. And this got like something like 4,000 responses because we have a dog saw him, he growled at him and bite him. And dogs are great sensitive characters. I'm like, there's people actually responding to this. It's an irrelevant issue. This is a big issue. You can unite on this. This is what you need to do. The deep state, the deep state has been called many things. It's control. And there's a certain amount of people who want it. In the politicians, in the media. Because here's the thing, they sell a narrative. If I came to you, if I imagine a presidential election where actually people follow the Constitution, do you think anyone would tune in? Let's talk, even from a Republican point of view. If that was the debate, would you watch the debate? If you had two people on either side talking about, yeah, we're going to do absolutely nothing, would you watch a presidential debate? The ratings would be... Donald Trump, God bless him, Mr. Ratings himself couldn't spice that one up. It's just not going to happen. If you made everything about federalism, everyone relies on big government. Because it feeds everyone. It feeds the politicians, it feeds the lobbyists, it feeds the media. Because guess what? Here's the truth about the mainstream media. Everyone goes on about fake news and CNN. No one watches. You know how they get a lot of their hits? Someone says something on a show at 4 o'clock that maybe 200,000 people watched. And about 10% of them are people like me who go, oh! They write an article going, hey, did you hear what so-and said? You never watch it. Any of the clips you get outraged by, do you ever watch them live? No one does. You see it on an article and it gets trending and goes big. Did you see what they said? And then there's an attack. And then someone else has to defend them. Then it becomes a whole new story and it goes on and then it becomes all about politics. The mainstream media have no news. The mainstream media, no one watches. You look at even Fox's ratings compared to what they were 10 years ago. Amen. The new media is about, there are many companies. You don't need them. The great thing of industry, how free markets actually work, is my industry. There is no gatekeeper. You know, 10 years ago, I couldn't do what I do, where I would need someone to give me a show. Technology-wise, I couldn't do it. Now, technology, I sit in my desk, record a show, put it up in the cloud, my producer takes it down, edits it, hopefully makes me sound better, because I need all the help I can get, puts it together, ups it, loads on the site, and y'all can get it Saturday at 12 noon on many different outlets. You look at people, you know, 10 years ago, you needed to be at Fox. You don't need that anymore. You can have your own show. You can do Facebook Lives, even if you want to do it. You have a load of friends. There are people out there who Facebook Live, do a Facebook Live every day who get like 20,000 hits. They're probably, per population, get more influence and actually have more influence on people than the mainstream media. Mainstream media are not mainstream anymore. So what we need to do is, if you get back to principles, you will dissolve the deep state. That will stop it. But you need to make the arguments of why it isn't working. And it all comes back down to the battle of the day, nature's law versus man's law. And that solves it.
That's true. That's true.
Does that answer your question? Perfect. Any other questions?
Anybody
Don't be
else?
shy.
I do.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
saw your dog tags. I was curious if you were in the
No,
military.
ma'am. I just, I love this is a ring by a charity called 22 Kill. They're in America. It's actually gone down, thank God, but still way too high. 22 veterans killed themselves. So rather than asking, rather than actually asking for money, they sell things, and then all the profits go to help. So it's actually 20 a day now, but it's still 20 too many. The other dog tags are, my cousin fought in Vietnam and actually died through, didn't actually die in service, died through disease. But I love the military, so they're actually something special to me. They mean something to me. I will always stand with your military, because the one thing if you could fix, it would just be so wonderful. You have never treated your military with respect from day one. If you go back to the Revolutionary War, you didn't pay them on time. There were issues over it. True to this day, you know, on my show, I'll always salute them. I'll always stand with them, because they stand. You know what I do. People say I'm brave. You get up in public speaking, you're brave. No, you're not. This is nothing. This is fun. This is pleasure. I mean, this is my vacation. People getting shot at, going out there. Whether you agree with the wars or not is irrelevant. They're out there risking it all, going to some hellhole. So, absolutely. So, I'll always stand with them.
Amen.
Jonathan, thank you so much.
No problem.
We
I think we're going for
appreciate you
bites,
very
so
much.
I'll be happy to